Modestas, the Baltic Warrior, Bukauskas. How you doing, mate?
Yes, doing absolutely great, mate. A little bit knackered after the run,
Yeah.
but we are firing on all cylinders as always.
Fantastic. It's a bit of a random question, and I kind of wanted to get this out of the way. Does it bug you that a lot of people just get your second name wrong? Because I've seen it before. Bisping's got your name wrong. Bruce Buffer's even said your name after he said Bukauskas, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, you guys are
I know. Hey, listen. At the end of the day, I understand that, Lithuanian names aren't exactly their forte or like their, the normal things that they're used to pronouncing. So I'm just like, listen, I get it. I mean, I'd love for them to pronounce it right, but I guess you can't get it right all the time. Do you know what I mean? There's a load of crazy names out there in the UFC. So yeah, man, I'm all right with it at the end of the day.
Nah, fair play, man. Fair play. So UFC 303, big event in Manchester. Kind of straight off the bat, a lot of the English fighters, they're fighting at a very unusual time. Even though we're in our home city, we're in the home country of England, you guys are fighting at 3 a.m. How was it kind of finding out you're fighting at that time? And how are you adjusting to fighting around that time as well?
I think it's UFC 304, brother.
304, sorry.
Yeah. Nah, all good. To be honest, mate, I think anytime there is war on the line, I think your body just naturally prepares for it. You know what I mean? I know Tom's talking about taking on like a very similar approach to what Leon's going to be doing, but they're fighting a lot later than me. I mean, I project I'll only be fighting about maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, depending on where I am on the card. So it's going to be a lot different for me to sort of adjust. But I mean, I remember I fought for the Fight Star belt, and I ended up getting there at 2 p.m, and I didn't fight till 12:30 at night. Like literally, I was there the whole day, and I didn't do any preparing for the time that I'm going to fight or anything like this. So I think that if anything, the last week, as soon as I know what the order is on the card, I'll just make sure I try and train somewhat similar to that time. But is it really that necessary, bro? I went to Australia and freaking fought at 10 a.m. I've been in Abu Dhabi fighting at 3 a.m. So I'll do everything I can to make it as close to that. But ultimately, when it comes down to fight time, the adrenaline will take over, and I'll just be able to adjust naturally.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm an armchair critic. I've never fought myself. And a lot of fans are like, "Oh, how dare?" It's probably more because UK fans have to get up at the same time as a normal UFC event. But hey, look, if the fighters have got no issue with it, then what's the problem, mate?
I mean, look, don't get me wrong. For the UK fans, obviously, it'll be nice to do it at UK prime time, especially when there's like literally 14 UK fighters on there.
Yeah.
But I can understand from a business standpoint, why they're going to do it. Obviously, for the US pay-per-views and stuff like this. So I mean, either way, we're branching out and reaching out to a massive audience, all over the world, and obviously in the UK. And trust me, a lot of the tickets have been sold out from what I can see. So people are still cool about getting out there at 11 p.m. at night. So it's no issues in that area.
100%, man, 100%. But look, Modestas, I want to kind of go back a little bit. You've had an unbelievable journey. I mean, a roller coaster ride yet isn't even closer to describing what you've been through. Obviously, you got the call in the UFC during the pandemic. You had a bit of an up and down run during the UFC. Hurt your leg really badly in the Khalil Roundtree fight. Obviously, went through a rough time after that. Got the call again from the UFC. Just kind of summate, what the last 4 or 5 years has been for you, man.
Yeah, it's been mad. Like I always knew that I would be in the UFC. I always knew after, I was going to win the Cage Warriors belt. That was like my first goal. Then get into the UFC. Then we got there. Then, I wanted to get the 50 grand bonus, got that. You know what I mean? So I was just slowly ticking things off. But I feel like everything that has happened, like in my career, then obviously I lost to Jimmy Crute. It's just a bit too early to have a fight like that, especially in the UFC, for me personally anyways. And then obviously a fight against Oli Shaychuk was very close, could have went either way.
I thought you won that, to be honest, but
I appreciate that. And most people thought that. I thought the same thing, but at the end of the day, you got to take it as it is. Look, it was a loss, so there you go. And then I went into that Khalil fight, with a really bad knee injury anyways, and then it just blew up basically even more so in the fight. And then yeah, again, everyone sort of just like kind of forgot about me after that. And then I think it's the thing about my story is that I've always had to come back through some sort of adversity, but that's also given me the fire and the drive and the motivation and almost like a burning desire in my stomach to prove everyone wrong, because a lot of people just keep underplaying my abilities and, you know, what I can do out there. But I don't blame them because I haven't really been showing it. So, you know, that is what, like I say, has always given me the fire and the drive to go and prove everyone wrong. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to win the cage was about the second time. And then, yeah, I have to admit, getting back to the UFC, like after being injured and cut and back to the UFC, I did it within 16 months. Like, you know, for me,
Mad.
I knew that was going to happen. I always had that written out in my head, but it's just mad that like everything happened so quickly. I remember they did like a short documentary on me on YouTube, and he actually recorded a voice note. I said, by you know, by the time I'm 29, but definitely by the time I'm 30, I'm looking to be back in the UFC. And then literally on my like 2 days after my birthday, I was having my first fight back in the UFC against Tyson Pedro. So yeah, man, it's been a crazy roller coaster, but I feel like everything that's happened has always happened for a reason. And it's always propelled me to get the most out of myself and to become the best athlete that I can possibly be. And it's made me the adjustments accordingly, you know.
Yeah.
And these adjustments are definitely going to be shown in my future fights. And as every fight has gone on, I've never returned the same person, or
Yeah.
if I have, and I've learned the lesson in order to keep growing up, you know. So I feel God is looking after me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, man. And you know, even before you go to the UFC, I think I was listening to the Ariel Helwani interview just before this, and you know, you mentioned yourself, you know, you're drinking yourself kind of to sleep, watching Game of Thrones. As someone who's kind of almost been there, I kind of understand what you've been going through in terms of it is kind of difficult when you get into a dark spot and you don't want to be present. How did
Yeah.
you kind of get over that, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think is always the motivation. Obviously, to the story can't end there. You know what I mean? Like as I was going through it, obviously it was very difficult. And as I mentioned, and as you mentioned, you know, you just don't want to be in the world presently. You don't want to be feeling the emotions that you have to feel. You want to almost feel numb to everything. You want to kind of block yourself, or you want to put the blinds on. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's
Yeah,
light outside. You just want to put the blinds on. You just want to you're like there, but you're kind of just you're just existing, but you're not actually doing anything. You know what I mean? And because it's hard, because you literally every day you have to think, I got you know, I got my knee smashed in my last fight, and now I can't do anything until, you know, I want to prove everyone wrong. But at the minute, all they think about is he's that guy who got his knee stumped, and you know his career's over. Do you know what I mean? So obviously, until I could do anything about it, obviously it was tough. But always in the back of my head, and also I have to give since it's Father's Day as well, I've got to give a
yes,
big shout out to
I
my
was gonna
dad,
say,
because
yeah,
if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have made the comeback that I did. He's always believed in me, even when the shit hit the fan. Like he's always been the guy to tell me, like, "Do you know what, Modestas, you're gonna come back. You just got to work harder. You got to correct these things." You know, he always believed in me. Always. He never once said, "Oh, Modestas, you need to change your career," or whatever. He's always said, "Nah, he's gonna do it. He just needs to figure out something in his head in order to get the best out of himself."
yeah,
So I was very thankful to have him. Obviously, my stepmom, you know, really good people around me in my household. I've got a very positive household as well. You know, as dark and as sad as it was, they were always there, like, you know, always picking me back up whenever, you know, things weren't going so well. And yeah, you know, starting a little bit of stuff on YouTube, and just like, I think once I saw little bits of recovery, bit by bit, you know, you're chipping away. It's like, okay, 1 month, 2 month, okay, now I'm like progressing. Okay, now I'm starting to do kicks again. Now I'm starting to do this, and then as everything was starting to come back, that was ultimately, you know, seeing small wins every single, like on like a weekly basis is what made me like even more motivated to get back. And like I say, the story to tell now is way better than, you know, than it would have been if everything just went plain sailing the whole time. So like I say, this is my story, and I'm glad that it's had to go this way.
Yeah, 100%, man. It is, man. It's a crazy story. Just going by that knee injury as well, yeah. So you obviously hurt your knee. I think you got to pay whoever got your knee fixed, yeah, any money, whatever money they're asking, pay them because you're doing backflips. What the hell?
Yeah, mate. Well, it's because they did the surgery that they wouldn't normally do to like an average person. You know,
Yeah,
it was a very expensive surgery is all I'm going to say. And I had literally the best doctors. You know, the guys at Harley Street are absolutely amazing. Dr. Adrian Wilson and Ragbir Kakar, they're like the top surgeons. I think they do surgeries on like the top athletes in football and rugby and stuff like this. So I knew that I was in good hands. It was one of the most painful surgeries I've ever had in my life, but they literally went above and beyond. They did everything to make sure that, and now like my knee feels so stable. Like it's actually crazy. It's like I've almost got like a bionic knee. Do you know what I mean? Like it's actually stronger than what it was previously. So obviously it will never feel like just like a normal leg. Like there's still, but I can do everything, if not better, than I was doing it. And it's weird because I look at my legs and my left leg's got more muscle than my right leg, which is mad.
that's
So
crazy.
it's like, do you know what I mean? The operated leg is now bigger than the right leg.
Hey, man, you're the $6 million man. You know, like they just rebuilding you, better, stronger, faster. You know?
That's it, mate. Make it 20 million, mate.
20 million. That's it. 20 million, man. 20 million. And since it is Father's Day, and you know, you mentioned your father, I thought this is crazy. Like your dad was actually so you're obviously a very dangerous, tough man, but your dad is arguably a scary man. No holds barred champion in Soviet Union back in the day, and he developed his own martial art. Is that correct? Tell
Yeah,
me a little bit about that.
yeah. So it's called Gintas Combat Self Defense. But essentially it's just a mix of like everything that he's learned over the years. Like, you know, I believe he's got a black belt in Shotokan karate, and you know, and he I believe he's got qualifications in sambo. Like he's a very good sambo practitioner. He just basically just blended all the arts together. You know, and when he was in the army, he learned a lot of stuff. Like when he was in the Soviet army, so he just basically blended it all together and just basically it's like Bruce Lee, almost like finding the best sort of art to just blend everything together from the ground to the takedowns to the striking. So that was essentially his own thing. And yeah, I mean, yeah, he's one tough motherfucker. It's like, you best believe when he told me to clean up my room, I better clean up my room. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, now we've got a great relationship, me and him, and it's just been getting stronger, like, you know, since the beginning. So I'm very thankful to have him in my corner, but also like I say, it's like my best mate. So
Yeah.
having him to travel, to take him around the world and to show him the world, like I'm very thankful that I'm able to do that for him as well.
Was he the main reason you got into fighting?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah.
oh yeah,
Like
beautiful.
literally when I was 5 years old, like he's just showing me a couple of kicks and I was like, oh, look how cool that is. And then like literally 2 weeks later, all right, now we train hard. I'm like, oh great, here we go. So yeah, I mean he's always wanted me just to achieve in whatever I wanted to do. He never actually necessarily wanted me to become a fighter, but he saw that that's where my talents seemed to be the best. So even though I've went through other sports and, you know, I played basketball in America and stuff like this, but it's always come back to the same thing. It's like, right, Modestas, let's go and try and, you know, let's go and be a mixed martial artist. Let's become the best in the world. You know what I mean? So, and he's taught me a lot of discipline and, you know, and he's also told me like to basically fight the best way that's appropriate for the given situation. He's never told me, no, you have to fight like this and you can't fight any other way. He's always just told me things to try and adapt and like I say, be flexible with how I learn things. So, and that's what's made me become the best type of guy ever. I remember we decided like just amongst ourselves that we needed to switch stances and learn how to do that better, because I could only do it just with kicking, but now I can do it with punching as well. And like I say, it's good that me and him can like sort of talk through these things and figure out things together. And it's because he's got such an open mind and such a vast knowledge himself of the martial arts that we're able to figure this thing out together. Like I say, it's a journey, not just my journey, it's also his.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that in the Zach Pauga fight actually. That you're switching stances a lot. I'm like, yeah, man. You're giving him different looks. You're able to hit him with more shots, and you seem to get better and better every single fight as well. I think you said going into future fights, you want to mix a bit more wrestling and jiu-jitsu because you're a great stand-up fighter. Is that something you'd like to implement going forward? I know you weren't able to do it in your last fight, but
Oh, 100,
yeah,
100%. Like I say, people are going to know very quickly. I've put in a ton of work. I've been putting a ton of effort in every single aspect, and like I say, people are going to see. I just needed to get a bit more confidence within myself, a bit more confidence within the skill set by doing it even more. And trust me, like I say, if I haven't shown it before, I'm definitely going to show it as the fights go on.
Yeah, 100%, man. What's your thoughts on your opponent, Marcin Prachnio? As a skill set, as an opponent, I know he's got a Kyokushin karate background.
Yeah,
Probably a good time to kind of mix in those skills now, isn't it?
yeah. So he's a Kyokushin guy.
Yeah,
He's moved darts in very quickly in and out. Got good kicks. Got winging like haymaker style punches. So yeah, he's powerful. He's strong, but like I say, he's beatable. Just like all of them. Like I say, I take nothing away from his skill set because obviously he's in the UFC and he's winning fights in the UFC and doing well. But ultimately, this is my time. This is my time to take over. So I'm just going to go in there and just fight to the best of my ability and take him out.
changing gears a little bit. So we like to ask this to all our guests. How do you deal? I mean, is anxiety a thing for you going into fights? If it is, how do you deal with it?
Yeah. So I mean, everyone gets scared. Everyone gets nervous. Everyone has like these thoughts that play on their head the whole time. But for me, like imagine the analogy of like you've got a backpack on, yeah, and you're standing on the edge of a cliff, knowing full well that so you don't know what's in the backpack, right?
Yeah,
There's a lever with a parachute, but you don't know if the parachute's going to come off or it's not, and you just got to jump. Like so, whether that parachute like comes out or it doesn't, you got to jump. You're either going to die or you're going to survive, but you've got to take the conscious decision to make that jump, make that leap, right? And that's literally the decision that you have to make every single time, and you just got to jump. Like you've almost not going to even question it. It's like, nah, this parachute's opening, let's go. Do you know what I mean? So it's going out with the thought. You use the nervousness and the fear and stuff like this to your advantage, like that fire, like that flame. You've got to embrace it and not let it take over you. You got to say, it's almost at the point where you're like, fuck it, I'm here now, I might as well make the most of it. And it's the same with anything in life, like going out to a club and like there's these girls, it's like, what the hell's the worst that could happen? Do you know what I mean? Or going like I say, into a social situation that you're not used to, or doing an event, like, do you know what I'm saying? So it goes into all areas of life. And I think it just, it carries on. I try and do more of that in my own life, in my personal life, because then it just like transfers over into the fighting world. But it comes back from the belief in your skill set as well. So obviously you train hard, you make sure that everything's, firing on all cylinders. You make sure you perfect everything so that when you go in there, all the tools that you have in your tool bag, you can use it to the fullest extent, and you can be really confident within yourself. Confidence in competition comes from confidence in your preparation, your practice. So I know I've been working my ass off, so that's why I can feel confident going into this fight. I know that I'm leaving no stone unturned. So yeah, man, that's basically it. You just got, with the skills that that you have, I mean, how can I not feel confident? And when the fear and the anxiety does hit, just embrace it.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Just embrace the anxiety. It's going to happen anyway. What are you going to do? You're going to let it control you?
Exactly.
That's the main thing.
You're there anyways. I might as well try and hit the guy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. I didn't feel like you had any anxiety in the first fight in the UFC against Michaelis as well. You seemed comfortable. You seemed relaxed. You
I
know?
was actually. Obviously, I was visualizing quite a lot. Um, and yeah, I don't know. Like I felt, like I say, like I was supposed to be there. Even like the transfer from Cage Warriors, it felt very similar. You know, obviously everything's like to the higher degree, to an amplified degree. But for the most part, I felt, like I felt like, oh, this is just another day of fighting. You know, so
Yeah.
yeah, man. Like, and I think now in my second UFC run, especially, I felt more like that also. So yeah, it's as the time goes on, as fights goes on, you just learn how to handle it even better. And yeah, no, especially in my debut, I remember it like clearly. Like I felt very present, and that's when I fight my best, is when I'm present.
Yeah, definitely, man. But yeah, I mean, just kind of going, well, I went through your Instagram. I just did a deep dive. So we do this with all our guests, just to kind of gauge, yeah, whether we can get something from the early days, something new and fresh that you might not have been asked. I actually saw that you trained with Jon Jones years ago.
Yeah.
So you did 5 rounds with the GOAT. Tell me about that, man. How was that experience, man? Kind of training with him.
Well, it wasn't even just 5 rounds. It was like, I'm talking every day for like 10 weeks, like
Damn.
rounds and rounds and rounds and rounds. Like, I was just, yeah. Like, so when I was 22, I remember I was 4-0 as a pro. I had a sponsor at the time that, I went to Albuquerque the first time. I got to train with Andrei Arlovsky. And then the second time round, I came around, Jon Jones was there. And then obviously he had heard from like the managers there, because obviously I'd been there before. Oh, this guy's a really good striker. You should do some rounds with him. And then, yeah, like really cool guy. We ended up doing like a load of rounds together. Literally like almost every day, doing jiu-jitsu rounds, wrestling, MMA. So, it was amazing that I was able to get that type of opportunity to, train with, the greatest of all time. And he was a really nice guy. He was very helpful and very welcoming as well. So it was nice to get those rounds in, and also it gave me the confidence within myself that I'm training with the best in the world. So this is definitely a sign of things to come in the future, that that I can also get to the top of the pile in my division. So yeah, no, it was absolutely amazing. Really great fighter. And yeah, it's nice to get beaten up by by the greatest of all. If you're going to get beaten up by someone, might as well be by the greatest of all time, right? And
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
no, we had some good rounds, man.
Was there anything surprising about Jon Jones? Like, because obviously everyone's like, yeah, Jon Jones is good at everything, striking, wrestling, jiu-jitsu. He's amazing at everything.
His
But
wrestling,
he's wrestling. Were you really surprised at that?
next level. Like, I knew it
Really?
was good, didn't realize how
Yeah.
good it was. Next level, absolute next level. Like, yeah, man. And he's very strong in those positions. Like,
Yeah.
it's not just because obviously at the time I think he was doing a lot of powerlifting and stuff like this, but like genuinely in those positions of wrestling, he's just mad strong. If he gets a grip on you, it's hard to get out. Like, there's different types of strength, and he's definitely got that wrestling strength for sure.
That's so crazy because well, growing up, yeah, I've been following this sport for years and years, and when I first started looking at Jon Jones, you don't look at him like he's some massive, huge specimen of a man, and then you see him kind of just manhandle DC, and you're like, what the fuck is going on, man? Like, it's just
Well, and in all honesty, and to be fair, like, I think before that, when I was training with him, he was preparing for Ovin St. Preux, and I
yeah,
think that was at the time where, like I say, he really took up powerlifting, so he probably got even stronger at that point, and he definitely filled out a lot more, and he looked more muscular than what he'd done previously. So yeah, man, like, yeah, he's a very imposing character for sure.
definitely, man. I'm gonna put you in it, yeah, and I love both men, but I'm gonna have to ask, yeah, Jon Jones, yeah, if Jon Jones was to face Tommy Aspinall, who win?
My man Tom Aspinall,
That's what I think as well. I
like
think
like I say, he's got a lot of Tom, because I trained with Tom now leading up to this fight. He
yeah,
is in that, and he's a great guy, really great guy. He's insanely fast now. Look, I'm a fast light heavyweight, but if we're like talking about a heavyweight speed, like, that is next level. And he's got really good grappling. He's got good positioning, knows where he is. Like, trust me. And his hands, his boxing is really, really sharp. So I think a lot of those things would pose a big problem for Jones. And also, he's in his prime. He's 31, I believe. He's similar age to me.
Yeah.
So he's only a year older than me. So he's in his like athletic prime. So, you know, those things would definitely play a factor. So yeah, I would go with Tom.
Yeah, that speed is bizarre, man. I mean, I thought Suragan was fast, and I'm not too sure it's faster out of him and Tom Aspinall. They move like
It's got to be Tom. It's got to be Tom.
yeah,
Tom's
it's
insane.
ridiculous. It's unbelievable, like how quick he is, man. But look, final question for you, Modestas, man. You've been great. 5 years from now, where do you see yourself?
UFC champion, defending my belt, and do you know what? Actually, competing for the heavyweight championship of the world. So, or you know, I'm looking to make history. You know, the main thing for me right now is obviously winning the light heavyweight belt. But you know, we've got to move up as well, or you know, move down, or whichever way it goes. The main thing is in 5 years, it's for me to be financially free, for my parents to be taken care of, for my whole family to be taken care of. No one had to worry about anything. And for me to be the world champion with a bunch of defenses. Yeah, I think that'll be the main thing for me in 5 years, is to be that guy who's defending his belt at least 6-7 times, and being that guy who, you know, no one wants to fight because he's unbeatable. That's me in 5 years.
I absolutely love it, man. Can't wait to see I can't wait to see the journey, Modestas, man. But thank you so much for coming in the show.
No worries, bro.
Great guest. Yeah, great guest, bro. And I'm wishing you all the best for 304 as well, man.
Thank you so much, my man. I really appreciate it. And it's very, very nice talking to you. I really appreciate the chat, mate. And yeah, man, let's get ready. Look forward to an amazing show to come July 27th.
Definitely, man. Thanks, Modestas.
Nice one, brother. Have an amazing day, man.
Thank you, man.